2025 Aston Martin Vantage versus Porsche 911 Turbo, a battle of beauty and beastly performance. Big plans to tackle some of the best driving roads outside Pittsburgh, but first, we couldn't resist exploring the city itself. In the vibrant Strip District, once home to bustling produce warehouses, you'll now find a putsch shack and a cutting-edge virtual reality entertainment hub. Down by the Allegheny River, historic Heinz ketchup factories have been reimagined as upscale lofts. And just southeast of downtown, along the Monongahela River, lies RSC Mill 19, a massive tech campus that seemed like the perfect backdrop for our Aston Martin and Porsche. This impressive site, a former steel mill, retains its towering steel exoskeleton, now repurposed to house modern offices. Pulling up in the Vantage and 911 Turbo, we instantly drew attention. Within minutes, we were chatting with engineers and test drivers from Motional, an autonomous car company based at Mill 19. The polite, LiDAR-equipped Hyundai Ioniq 5s quietly cruising by added a surreal, futuristic touch to the scene. As tempting as it was to stay and trade stories all day, we had to hit the road. Our destination? The winding back roads of Ohiopyle. Interior and exterior. Southwestern Pennsylvania is a driver's playground, but getting there means first navigating Pittsburgh's sprawling suburbs, a perfect opportunity to examine the cabins of these two automotive icons. The Porsche's interior is a masterclass in functional design. The low hood, or frunk, provides a panoramic view, while the thin-rimmed steering wheel feels like a direct link to the road. Key controls are easy to access with tactile buttons, including our favorite, the Sport Response selector on the steering wheel. One twist instantly dials every performance system into hyper-aggressive mode. The 911's interior palette is understated yet elegant, but for those with deep pockets, Porsche offers nearly limitless customization. Want your car painted in any technically feasible color for $37,180? Done. Fancy a rainbow of options for the fusebox cover? You've got 19 hues to choose from. Still, even a showy Guard's red 911 Turbo fades into the background when parked next to an Aston Martin Vantage. 2024 Porsche 911 Turbo. Highs. Hypercar acceleration. GT3 adjacent soundtrack. Surprisingly practical. Lows. Less than exotic exterior styling. Earns a gas guzzler penalty. Might be mistaken for a car costing half as much. Verdict. One of the best performance cars you can buy, at any price. One logbook entry read, "It's entertaining to watch people ignore the 911 to gawk at the Aston." Indeed, the Vantage's comic book proportions are the epitome of front-engine visual drama. The car is so wide that its 325/30ZR 21 rear tires almost look skinny under the swollen bodywork. The exterior mirrors rest on long, spindly arms. Otherwise, your rear view would be all fenders. This is a car you park outside the garage, so you can stare at it in the sunlight. The interior is less outrageous, although Aston will drape it in hues far more adventurous than the Dark Knight monotone of our test car. The seats are more comfortable than the Porsche's, soft yet supportive, and we love the simplicity of the mode selection buttons for the suspension and exhaust. There are 3 color-coded options, so if you see red, you know you've conjured the Vantage's evil side. Unfortunately, this particular example had quite a few controls that didn't do anything at all. The cruise control was DOA, the instrument cluster dimmer didn't dim, and the voice control was inoperative. Most confoundingly, the rearview camera's display was like looking through a periscope made of rigatoni, until you shifted from reverse to drive, at which point it would display a glorious view behind the car. Better late than never. We guess? Powertrain and performance. At the quarter mile, the 911 Turbo and Vantage are both traveling at 133 miles per hour. But how they get there, and what happens afterward, reflects the vast disparities in mechanical hardware and engineering philosophy. The 911 Turbo, with its all-wheel drive and 5,000 RPM launch control engagement, leaves the line like it got rear-ended by a supernova. In an era when electric cars dominate the drag strips, the 911 Turbo stands up for piston power, hitting 60 miles per hour in 2.3 seconds and blasting through the quarter mile in 10.3 seconds. The Vantage requires 11.1 seconds to do the latter deed, owing to its relative lack of traction at launch. One of our testers remarked, hitting 60 in 3.2 seconds like the Vantage does is crazy quick. But a 911 Turbo is even quicker, and not by a little bit. Vantage owners racing for pink slips will want to specify a race to 180 miles per hour, which is the point where the Aston finally hangs a lead on the 911 Turbo, 24.1 seconds to 25.0. Those are crazy stats, and the gravity warping performance extends beyond the drag strip. From 70 miles per hour, the Vantage's carbon brakes enabled a 148-foot stop, but the 911's iron rotors hauled it down in 142 feet. On the skid pad, the Aston pulled 1.01 Gs to the Porsche's 1.06. Even the Porsche's active exhaust had a wider bandwidth than the Aston's. In normal modes at wide open throttle, the 911 is quieter at 92 decibels, but in Sport Plus, its uncorked exhaust is louder, registering 99 decibels. The Aston did win the fuel economy contest, with 19 observed mpg to the Porsche's 18. 2025 Aston Martin Vantage. Highs, showstopper looks, outrageous high-speed acceleration, AMG thunder under the hood. Lows, electronic snafus, rear drive traction deficit off the line. Options easily inflate the price by 50%. Verdict: a 656 horsepower argument against Brexit. The Vantage's non-lethal behavior also seems to owe to some possible torque modulation in first and second gear, and the acceleration numbers support the impression that the Aston only unleashes full fury once it's decisively hooked up. A bump at the exit of a really tight hairpin caused a momentary flare of wheel spin, but the Aston was generally buckled down and more genial than it has any right to be. The main issue is that its limits are so high you'll break the speed limit long before the car is really exerting itself. That critique extends to the 911 Turbo, and then some. Other than its own Turbo-S brethren, this might be the quickest point-to-point car you can buy. Any road, any conditions, no excuses. A 911 Turbo makes you think you could enter a WRC event and win. Or maybe that you're possessed by Fangio. Mash the throttle, and the world scrolls at 5 times speed, so better keep up. The Vantage on its own is sublime. Then you get in the 911 and realize there are fine gradients of excellence that Porsche knows how to exploit. Dive into a corner in manual mode, and the 911 Turbo's dual-clutch transmission cracks off perfectly smooth downshifts, while the Vantage's torque converter automatic imposes a slight lurch as it grabs a lower gear. The Vantage's AMG V8 sounds silky and expensive, but ultimately less exotic than the Porsche's howling flat six. This active exhaust gives the Turbo a huge helping of GT3 oral drama. The 911 Turbo pulls off rare alchemy, turning cold, rational engineering excellence into soul. And the winner is... At one point in our journey, we drove past a 19th century log cabin with a window air conditioner stuck through the wall, and it occurred to us that, under the wrong stewardship, that could have been a metaphor for the 911 Turbo. After all, this is a car that can trace its family lineage, both mechanical and genealogical, to the Volkswagen Beetle. But the 911 Turbo long ago banished the dynamic compromises imposed by its layout, such that you forget that a rear-engine platform isn't simply the best way to build a car.
Thanks for watching. Drop a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to watch more videos like this.